The worst tragedy I found from COVID was that for far too many people, the only time they're celebrated is when they pass. It's in those moments, people get up and they say all the things. And for most people, during those early years, they were robbed of the opportunity to be celebrated because we were so distant. But with the Grammy, what happened with me was it gave people permission to be friendly and to be generous and to be kind and to be reflective. I can't tell you how many messages I had from former students, community members that said, Mr. Smith, we're rooting for you. I'm from a small town. The vibe and the energy is very much what I experience and feel here. So when I won, the community won. And as a result, people would reach out and say, Mickey, we love it. I remember when you did this. And I have a student say, Mr. Smith, I remember I'd always come into the band hall in the mornings and I'd hear you practicing, or you took time with me. And these are things, and these are stories, and these are testaments. Honestly, had that not happened, I would have never known. And I'm telling you that for this reason. We have to find ways to keep ourselves invigorated. I'd love to tell you that the Calvary is coming, but they're not. And somebody said, Mickey, he's the educator, encourager. That wasn't very positive. Forgive me, let me rephrase it. I'm positive they're not coming. I'm positive. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm not saying I've been teaching forever, but I've been teaching long enough to see and to say that the norm is not for support to be overwhelming. I'm not saying we never get support, but it's never done in such an overwhelming way that we're like, I can't wait to get to work. I'm going to have everything I need and more. But what I do know is that we hold the ability to keep ourselves encouraged. Isn't it interesting that we have one of the most dynamic art forms that seemingly everybody knows how to utilize except us? You can't go in a store without there being music, or a restaurant, or a commercial, or everybody understands the power music holds to affect our lives. And yet, I've been guilty of it. I only utilized it for the purpose of completion of a task or preparation for a gig. When at times, sometimes it's putting on some Phil Collins. Why, Mickey? Is there an upcoming gig? No, I just like the song. And it makes me feel good. And something crazy happens after that. When the kids show up, I got a different energy. It invigorates me. Mickey, what taught you that? Where I live now. When we go driving, people are so angry. They honk. They say things I'm not going to repeat. They run lights. They're just so aggressive. And here's the craziest thing. I live in West Palm Beach, Florida. On any given day, I go to the beach, and I'm the only person there. People are literally passing by the absolute cheapest form of therapy there has ever been. The only thing I gotta pay for is parking, and sometimes I don't pay for it, don't tell anybody. But I go to the beach. I never was a beach guy. But something amazing happened the first time I went out to the beach and I looked at the Atlantic Ocean. It's not even the biggest ocean, but it's so big. It's so big, in fact, that when I look out, all those problems that I brought with me to the beach that I thought were so big seemingly become insignificant when I weigh it against what I'm seeing. I don't even know if it's the sound of the waves or if it's the sight of understanding in the big scheme of things, good or bad. It's so small. It's so small. I'm not here to diminish how you feel or what you're going through today. I just want to challenge you to do two things with me in the next few minutes, and that is to see the sound. You heard a sound from a saxophone, but the truth is that's not the sound. The sound is the significance you bring to your situation, to those you connect with, and most importantly, to yourself. And through that significance, you also have the opportunity to develop resiliency to help you keep on going. And that's what today is about. So what I want to do today, share with you a few things. You'll see QR codes skillfully woven into many of the things that I worked really hard on that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not the most sophisticated. So that was like, that's probably the most savvy thing I'll do today. So if you see that, you can go there and find out more on the website, mickysmithjr.com. You can find some of the music, you can find some of the books and different things like that. But we'll talk more about that as we go on. Obviously, social media is such a powerful platform. I just want to be really, really clear. I have no problem with you videoing and taking a picture, okay? I had so many people, I had no less than 5 people come up to me, very, very polite, very sweet, and say, I videoed. I hope it's okay. I said, it is. I came here for you guys. So here's the deal. I always say this thing, paper remembers what Mickey forgets, but the phone remembers everything, period, right? So use it. It's a smart device. Feel free to use it. I'm not offended. I mean, you can have it up the whole time as far as I care. It's about you. And I want to give you the value today. So I want to value your time. So you can find out more, stay connected with me. I've had a few people even in the last day inbox me and say, Mickey, specifically, this is what I took away from your session. That helps me. I mean, we had Arturo Sandoval come to our school last year. It was a really cool opportunity. Obviously, I don't need to tell you guys. I mean, he's the man, right? But he said something about an hour into the session, toward the end. One of the kids said something about being a trumpet player, and Mr. Sandoval got out of his chair. He said, I'm not a trumpet player. So at this point, I'm like, okay, where is this going? Because, yeah, dude, you're a trumpet player. Okay, you are like the trumpet player. He says, no, I'm not a trumpet player. I'm a trumpet learner. And I'll continue to be a trumpet learner until I can't learn anymore. And I said, man, if Arturo ain't a trumpet player, I'm not a saxophone player. Like, it changed everything, right? So I'm telling you this today, as I share, if there's any value, please share that with me, because that helps me be a better learner, so that I value our time together. Time together, life's better when you band together. This is my band, so to speak. Our oldest, Michaela, is a French horn player and vocalist. She's studying music in college right now. Our son, youngest, is William. He plays trumpet, and he's entering high school. And my lovely wife, she and I met in college, in the band, Proximity 1. I played saxophone, she played French horn, right? So yay, band, right? And this is the Smiths. So they definitely send their love and their regard today. So I'm gonna try something. We're gonna try it, we'll see if it works. I just want you to watch this.
As we count down to Sunday's Grammys, we're already celebrating one winner.
Super awesome.
He started off as just some random kid. I'm pretty sure nobody thought he would be anything. And now, look at him, he's at the Grammy. So.
He doesn't just want to keep his talent to himself. He wants to share it with everybody.
The band at Maplewood Middle School in Sulphur, Louisiana is so popular, about half the students there are members. Only on CBS This Morning, we're revealing that the band's leader, Mickey Smith Jr., is the winner of this year's Grammy Music Educator Award. As part of our Road to the Grammy series, Manuel Bojorquez shows us why Smith put aside his own musical aspirations to teach younger generations of musicians.
Ready, go. Yeah.
For a music teacher, Mickey Smith Jr. spends little time at the podium.
You have to be singing it in your head too. I'm moving around with them. Sometimes I'll sit down in the chair with them, because I always want to be cognizant of what did it feel like to be 12? Because I believe if I am familiar with that, I can connect with them more. And that's really what it's all about, connection. Good.
He remembers that age all too well, and growing up just about 2 miles from here in Louisiana Bayou country.
I grew up on, figuratively and literally, the other side of the tracks in a small community called Mossville. And it was a small African-American community that was formed by freed slaves, and honestly is no more now.
But it was there that a friend got him interested in the school band, that his typically frugal grandmother, Lily Mae, spent $400 on a used saxophone, and that his mother, Emmer, tried to be supportive through those first awful notes.
It was so bad, in fact, my mom told me to keep on going outside the house.
You had to practice.
Yeah, down the driveway.
Outside.
And then across the street in the woods.
You got good enough, she let you back in the house?
Eventually, they let me back in the house.
Looking back, he says, chasing that perfect sound kept him from chasing the temptations that befell other kids his age. And just listen to him now. You could have turned this into a music career as a performer doing your own thing. Why teach?
Oh, it's so rewarding. Why not teach? Why not teach? I think everyone should have an opportunity to pour into someone else. If you pour your cup empty, I think it comes back twice as full.
But it wasn't always the most popular class. When he started here 15 years ago, there were only 28 students in the band. Now, there are 146. That's half the school. Sixth graders Mackenzie Harmon and Caitlin Rendon play the flute. So when you enrolled in the middle school here, did you know you wanted to be part of the band?
Never in my life I thought I would, but whenever I saw the tryouts, I thought maybe it would be cool. And next thing you know, I love it so much.
Sounds just like how crossbones.
He's amazing. He makes things fun. He's super kind to everyone. He gives us a chance. He showed us something that we didn't think that we'd be able to do.
Oh.
Eighth grader Rayvon Washington plays clarinet. Though as a star on the basketball team, he initially was hoping for something cooler.
Okay, I was like, I want to play saxophone. But then he was like, I think you do best in clarinet. And I was like, that's a bummer. But then I realized, actually clarinet's actually fun.
He credits Mr. Smith for changing him in many ways.
In sixth grade, I was like a troublemaker. And I think I would be even worse.
Even worse, going down the wrong direction.
Yes, like a very wrong direction. But Ben has helped me a lot and made me focus and made me a better person.
So take your pencil and mark that. Because it's confusing. Don't feel bad. You've never seen this before. Rayvon was one of those students that I can say I loved him just the way he was, but I loved him enough not to leave him just the way he was. And I believe that's what teaching at its best, and that's what music can provide, an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for trust.
In honoring him with the Grammy Music Educator Award, the Recording Academy noted his ability to make students feel loved, valued, and wanted, of ultimately helping them find their sound.
I hope it means a change in their perspective, an understanding that there's nothing I can't do. That little kid from a little town that doesn't even exist anymore, if on the other side of the tracks did it, I can do it too.
For CBS This Morning, Manuel Bojorquez, Sulphur, Louisiana.
Mickey Smith Jr. is one wise man, and the testimony of all those kids tells you everything you want to know.
Jr.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
everybody should have the opportunity to pour into someone else.
Yes.
There's so many little nuggets.
Yeah.
Bravo.
You don't make a lot of money as a music teacher, but you do get a certain kind of rich.
Yep, very rich.
I'll say.
I never know how to feel about that last statement. You know what I'm saying? Especially when a rich person is like saying it. But anyway, but nonetheless, you know, I wanted you to see that because part of what makes a classroom situation work is understanding that modern day teaching is relationship-based teaching. You can't separate the two. So in order to get kids to buy in to who you are and what you're doing, they have to know who you are. And obviously, you're not kids, but at the same time, we're still humans. And there's still that need to understand who we are. So before I unpack these things, I wanted to give you a picture of where I came from and who I am. So you understand when I use some of this terminology, where it's coming from. But, as Paul Harvey used to say, now for the rest of the story. The truth of the matter is that video looks great. But if I can be perfectly honest with you, 1 year prior to that, I was up for the Grammy Award. Matter of fact, my cousin Lisa told me when I was 12 years old that I would win a Grammy, which made no sense because I sounded terrible, right? But Lisa is the cool cousin. Like she's young enough to get it, but she's old enough to take you probably where she shouldn't take you, right? It was great. She would always give me advice. She'd always show me the way. You know, she's always been like my sound adult. So when Lisa told me I was gonna win a Grammy, of course, Lisa said it. So I began my journey with music, and then something happened. I became a middle school band director. They don't win Grammys until they started this Grammy Music Educator Award. So somebody put my name in the hat. I thought to myself, this is not going anywhere. There's one award, there's no categories. It could be anywhere from preschool teacher to somebody at Juilliard and every point in between and every facet of music you can imagine. Fast forward, I ended up making the finals that first year. But something happened in the process. I fell in love with the process. It wasn't even about winning the award. The process of getting to the national finals caused me to really look at my teaching and my teaching situation and my motivations again with another perspective. And I began to evolve, slowly, but I began to evolve. And I did it again the second year, and I lost. Third time's the charm for others, I lost. 4, 5, the 6th year, we're all gathered around the TV. My children now are old enough to where now they're kind of invested into it, and they're kind of wanting dad to win, you know, type deal. We didn't sit around and talk about it at home, but I mean, they're there, they know what's going on. Kids at school talk, and I'll never forget they named somebody else. I kind of knew I didn't win because it was pretty close to the Grammys. I figured if I had won, somebody probably would have told me, set up some travel information or something. But I didn't want to spoil it. They say I lost. All of a sudden, my daughter starts crying. She's in middle school at the time, which then made my elementary age son start crying. And then once baby boy started crying, mama started crying. Everybody in the house is crying. Now I'm sad. I didn't cry at that moment, but like your whole family's crying. So you know how weird it is? Something that should have been a celebration. I mean, I made the national finals and everybody acts as if something tragic happened. Well, I made the decision at that moment. I said, I'm not doing this again. So I called Lisa later on and I went on and on about the situation. She said, you done Maestro? That's what my cousin Lisa called me, Maestro. She said, you done Maestro? I said, yeah. I said, you got something? She said, I just got 3 words. I said, what? She said, keep on going. I said, dang. See, because that's the story of my start. So much so, I even wrote a book about it because that was the story I would tell my students so that they would understand that Mr. Smith didn't just fall out of the heavens, so to speak, but that, you know, he went through a process like everybody does. It's Mr. Smith, I'm telling you, you just got it. So watch this. She's telling me to keep on going. As I'm talking to her, it's sitting on the ottoman. Do you know how hard it is to argue with your own words? That was diabolical, but that was Lisa. She always has this wisdom. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do it again, but that's it. She said, no. She said, it's not that I want you to do it again, I want you to do it the right way. I said, what do you mean? She said, why didn't you wear your red? I saw what you submitted. Where's the red at? I was like, oh, I don't. She said, where's that hat I bought you? You ever had somebody you love buy you something you didn't like? But you loved them too much to tell them, right? I was like, I don't know. She said, stop lying. It's on such and such shelf in your closet. Like, Lisa knows me like that. I'm like, dang, she got like surveillance? How did she know? I said, she said, why aren't you wearing it? I said, and I just watched this movie called Miss Congeniality. So I said, it's a bit ostentatious. She said, what? I said, it's a bit much. She said, no, it's a bit you. She said, you need to be you. I said, okay. She said, and why aren't you telling everybody what you're doing? I saw your video. She said, I don't know if you're trying to be like fake humble or something. She was like, it's an interview. You got to throw everything in the kitchen sink. Tell them everything you're doing. I said, okay. So I did just that. I went, did the whole thing, submitted my video. We would text each other all the time. On June 21st, I texted her. I said, hey, I'm gonna win. I wore my secret weapon. I had no idea walking on stage June 22nd. I'd find out as I walked on the stage to perform that Lisa passed away unexpectedly. So what happens at this point is the person who was instrumental in everything you did musically. Everything I know about music, Lisa was Google before Google. Now I have to go to work and I have to do this thing. I can kind of laugh about it now, but it was a hard, difficult time. It was kind of like I said, you know, kind of make light of it. Like everybody watched that movie 50 First Dates with Adam Sandler. Like, wouldn't it be nice? You know, at the end, like we're doing the music and in the middle of Hot Cross Buns, I'm crying. And the kids are like, they're freaking out. And thank goodness I had an assistant that year, a gentleman that was the assistant director. Kyle had never seen me like that. And he was like, you okay? I said, he's like, I got you, Mickey. See, sometimes the key to success is making others so good that you're not necessary anymore. I had no idea that the skills and the things I'm going to share with you today would bolster Kyle to the point where the teacher would now need the student to help him keep going. I went through grief counseling. I started wearing my hat because that was my way of staying connected to Lisa. I went through those processes, some of the things I'll even share with you today. And I got to a point where I was good. And then I got a phone call just a few months after Lisa passed. And the phone call went like this. It said, "Hello, Mickey, this is Deborah with the Grammys. It's my distinct pleasure to let you know that you've been selected as this year's Grammy Music Educator Award recipient." Of course, I'm at the school. It's probably like 6 o'clock in the evening, getting ready for the next day. And I just cried. I cried. I cried. But I didn't cry because I was sad. I cried because, doggone it, she saw it. Like everything she had always said. Lisa was the type of person, if she gave you a gift, you felt like she saw you. It wasn't just a casual gift, it was something that you wanted to hold on to. You felt seen. And from that moment, I continue to wear the hat. Because at the end of the day, you'll never meet Lisa, but when you see me and hear me, you know her. Yesterday, I asked many of you to close your eyes and think of somebody. As we unpack these strategies, these systems, and these goals, and these habits, understand these are just tools you can use to be what I like to call a sound adult. Lisa wasn't perfect by any means, but she was perfect for me. She was the sound adult I needed to help me discover, find, and refine my sound. That's who you get to be every day. But the question is, how, Mickey? Well, that's why we're here today, to talk about that. But understand, it's gonna take a little bit of change. Good. I'm all about changing these kids. Got some bad news for you. The change that's gonna change your classroom oftentimes has to start with you. I got a buddy of mine, he always talks about, man, the haters, the enemy, the enemy. Every time a man talks to haters, he got a chip on his shoulder. But one day we were talking, I said, you know, as much as it is the enemy, sometimes it's the enemy. Sometimes it's the enemy that does the most damage. So understand when I say this today, it's in love. That if you're really serious about change, then you have to be that person that shows, demonstrates, and operates the change in the most meaningful way. A loss is not a loss as long as our focus is not lost. So each and every day, what are we focusing on? I talked about it yesterday, the things that matter, the things that we can control. Those are the things we should focus on. So let's focus on 3 questions that matter and 3 answers that matter as well too. Before we get into that, I'm gonna show you this little document. This is what I use each and every day to ensure that I'm somewhat sound. Because newsflash, I'm not perfect. That CBS video made me look really nice and cuddly and adorable. But I'm not. I'm somewhat demanding and I'm passionate and I'm crazy about my students and about their success, right? And sometimes it comes across imperfect. But I found out something. Just like my biological children, my band children don't need a perfect teacher. They just need a purpose teacher. So every day I try to operate with a level of purpose. And it's these 4 things. Every day I make a point to see myself beyond myself. What does that mean? It means to be available. Be available. If you're going to be a teacher, you need to be available. How can I do that? In the smallest of ways. Sometimes, even if I'm going through the drive-thru, how can I see myself beyond myself? Maybe I'll buy a person's food behind me. Sometimes, if I'm a teacher, I'm standing by the door. Hey, it's good to see you. Welcome to the band hall where all your dreams come true. Been waiting on you all day. It's not a lot. I mean, whether or not I wanted to see him, I've literally been contractually obligated to be here, right? So, but in all seriousness, I joke. But the thing is, you know how many kids just need to hear something like that? And if you get the reputation of being that teacher, all of a sudden it changes how they interact with you. What are you doing to be available? What's one small thing you can do? Operate in optimism and excellence. If see yourself beyond yourself is be available, operate in optimism and excellence, is be authentic. Oh, Mickey, you're one of those toxic positivity people. No. Oh, you must be one of those fake it till you make it people. No. Oh, I've heard of you. You're one of those faith it till you make it people. No. I mean, maybe. I'm something more. Face it till you make it. Because I believe that what I have in me is enough to help me come against whatever is coming against me. But the same is true for all of us. We already have the winning formula within us. But today is about what does that look like? I'm not just going to give you a talk today. I want to give you some formulas to help you delve into what that means for you specifically. You don't have to go get a snazzy red jacket and a hat to be positive. You can be who you are as you are. That's why Lisa said, no, it's a bit you. She understood, I need you to be you. But my question is, knock, knock.
Who's there?
I am.
I am.
I am who? That's the question. That's what you have to unpack. Utilize all available resources. Be active. We moved from Louisiana to Florida. Made me so angry, I found 9 jars of peanut butter. One of the angriest moments of my life. Because the 9 jars of peanut butter reminded me that we were constantly buying things that we already had, but we stuck it in the back of a cupboard somewhere and forgot about it. And not just 9 little jars, big jars. Well, the same is true in our classroom situations. How many resources do we have at our disposal that we've just kind of overlooked and undervalued? Each day, I challenge you to do an audit and ask yourself, what resources, materials, or even people, relationships do I have at my disposal that I haven't utilized? Everybody should leave this conference with at least 2 new phone numbers. Because if everybody in here has an answer, we got the solution for a whole school year. What resources are we leaving on the table? And lastly, nourish relationships. If see yourself beyond yourself was be available and operate in optimism and excellence was be authentic, and if utilize all available resources was be active, then nourish relationships, don't be mad at me choir. If nourish relationships, don't be mad at me orchestra. If nourish relationships are just that, then it's be and. And what's be and? Band. Be and, be together. You can't even say the word band without the word and. I tell my students that all the time. You can't do this thing as a solo. No person is an island. So as we go about this incredible endeavor called teaching, what circles are we putting together for our success? What sound circles do we have in place? Each day, I dedicate the day to a certain person, place, or thing. From then, I write down what my goal is for that day. Nothing big, nothing audacious. We had the fundamentals session that was right before. Sometimes my goal in that particular day is to achieve a certain fundamental with the emphasis on fundamental. How can I make this fundamental the most amazing experience these kids have ever had? I make that my goal. And watch this, when you have that level of intention, it activates this thing called the reticular activation system. How do I know about that? I bought my wife a blue car, a specialty blue car that she asked for. She thought she was the only one that had it. We drove from Lake Charles, Louisiana to Houston, Texas. We saw no less than 20 of those cars. My wife was shocked. She was like, I've never seen this car before. They were always there. But when something's not on your radar, you don't notice it. Oh, what's not on our radar that we've been missing? Sometimes we're looking for answers that are right in front of us. So how do I do this actively each and every day? I split my day into 3 parts: priming, productivity, and play. At the start of my day, this is gonna sound crazy. And when I say this, there may be 12 people that get up and leave, but it's okay, stay with me. I get up early and I go to school early. And going to school early, matter of fact, I was chatting with somebody about this. He was sharing with us yesterday. I think it was Lindy was sharing this yesterday. Oh, he's here. Oh, cool. Hey, we were talking about this, and it's so on point. He was sharing how we were talking about how getting to a place early and taking care of just a few items reduces the stress and the anxiety exponentially of your day. But oftentimes the task seems so small and so minute, we don't see the significance of it. It is so difficult to be effective when you're showing up right at time. When you were a kid, they always said to be on time is to be early. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is actually to be what? Late. To be late, that depended on your band director, however that ended. It ended different ways for different people, right? So I'm telling you this today. When I get up, I prime for the day. I used to have a lawnmower. You'd have to prime it before you pulled it. And for me, what is priming? I'm getting older, so now I have to do some pliability. I do some stretches. I literally show up early, do a few little stretches. Nothing serious, maybe about 10, 15 minutes. Because I've conducted a few things that kind of almost took me out. So I understood now I gotta stretch a little bit. I do some prayer in the morning. I do some meditation. I do some practicing. Similar to maybe even what you saw today. I play for enjoyment, for fun. I do some planning. I do some lesson planning. I do some planning of my day. I script out my day. I do an audit of my day to figure out, what do I have to do today? Now I can operate with a level of intentionality and purpose, and I'm not just being reactionary to everything that's coming. Now, why is that so important? Because of this. Because they're showing up. Kids are so disrespectful. When they show up to school, they don't care about you, your problems, your responsibility. All they know is, you're here for me. Has anybody experienced that? You're trying to start rehearsal. My reed broke. Mr. Smith, I don't have that music you told us to have today. Can't you see we're starting rehearsal? And what happens is our anxiety starts raising. So what I find is when I start my day with the priming, it puts me in a position to win. I'm telling you this for this reason. My man Ice-T taught me a powerful lesson. Actually, it was my wife. When we first, Ice-T's not my wife, I'm just saying. Me and my wife, we first got married, and I knew she loved me. I know she loves me, but she scared me because we go to bed at night, and every night she's watching like Homicide, Snapped, Law and Order SVU, Dateline, what to do with the creepy voice, right? How to Get Away with Murder. And I'm like, what's going on? I called a couple buddies of mine that are a little bit older and they've been married longer. And they're like, no, Mickey, it's cool. Like, our wives watch it too. I'm like, oh, okay. But one thing I'm mentioning that because I'd watch this show and Ice-T would always be, he never had a lot of lines, but man, the lines he had, he delivered. Dude's dead. He's like, the Vic, he's dead. And I'm like, I know it's tragic, but man, he made it sound so cool. The Vic. I mean, it actually sounds kind of cool. It's tragic, it's terrible, but man. And then it got me thinking, that's the key to success. See, every day, it's like those worksheets we had back in the day when they would start the word, but they left it blank at the end. You had to finish the word. Every day, we got an opportunity to Vic. But the question is, are you going to be a victim or a victor? And every day, we get this beautiful opportunity to answer that question. So today, I'm going to give you 3 components that I believe are essential for us as educators to transcend from being a victim of our circumstances to being a victor in our classroom. So the first one is what I call vision. There's an old saying that says, without vision, people perish. And it's not any less true in a classroom. If I asked you, what is your vision for your classroom? Many of you would probably give me some philosophical thing that you wrote in college that honestly, the kids don't really care about. And let's be real, you probably don't care about either. But at the end of the day, if we're fulfilled, it's because our expectations have been met. Disappointment comes from unmet expectations. And more times than not, when I see teachers that are disgruntled or demoralized or discouraged or burned out, it's because the expectation of what they thought the classroom was going to be has not been met. Now, I'm not putting all that burden on you. Obviously, there are a lot of factors, but there are some things that we can do to meet those expectations. So let's talk about it real quick. I'm not a math guy, but I'm going to give you a formula that I believe works wonders. And I've had folks from all over the world reach out to me after they've done this and said, Mickey, I thought you were crazy, but when I do this, it actually works. It's the craziest thing. X, Y, Z. I want you to think of X as an intersection. X stands for gift and passion. You know what it's all about. We've been to those choir concerts. We've been to the little Christmas cantata at the little church, and they got the person that's got the solo. Grandma got the solo. She's got the great passion, incredible passion, no gift. My grandma says she got a joyful noise. That's what grandma would say, joyful noise, right? But then they got some people, they got the gift and the passion. When they have that, it transcends. Matter of fact, they got folks, like when they got the gift and the passion, you don't have to say their whole name. They say stuff like Whitney. They'll say the voice. They'll say somebody took my wife to go see her right before, Celine. Some people, they got so much gift and passion, they're so good at what they do, they don't even say their whole name. They just say stuff like MJ. You get really transcendent, now they out here saying you're the artist formerly known, you just a symbol. When you become so gifted and passionate, you supersede your name. Mickey, you being silly. No, I'm not. I'm reminding you, you closed your eyes and thought of somebody. That person's name didn't tell the whole story of who they were. They were transcendent. They had great gift and great passion to the point that when you thought of a teacher, their face was the first face that popped into your mind. So what does that mean for you? It means I need you to go back and look again for the first time and ask yourself, what am I gifted at? What am I gifted at? What are my gifts? What are my talents that I bring to my classroom that aren't necessarily tied to the subject matter? And then what am I passionate about? I'm gonna show you the easiest way to find what you're passionate about. My wife, just for fun, she'll go through Facebook and she likes to watch people cook. She likes those recipe things. If you invite us over for Thanksgiving, I'm gonna be real with you. You better be able to cook, okay? Because that's like, or don't mess up Christmas. My wife is passionate about Christmas, right? What am I telling you? Sometimes the thing that, when it's done poorly, aggravates you, that's usually your passion. So what are you passionate about? Take a moment right now and think about it. What are you passionate about? When you can find those two things, you found your X. Next is the why. What's the why? It's more than a letter, it's a word, W-H-Y. Your why is actually a who or a what. I had a student that I was working with, they were getting ready to kick him out of school, expel him. So the last stop was go see Smith. I got marked as that guy. You want to fix a student, go send him to Smith. They sent me all the best students. They sent this kid to me. I found out, I immediately had to be a behavior detective. I figured out what it was that struck a nerve with him, what it was that got him excited. I knew he liked to draw. I could already draw, so I started showing him how to 3D shape. He wanted to know how to do that 3D dimensional stuff. So after a while we started talking. Through drawing, I found out the only thing he really cared about was his grandmother. So when he would cut up in class, they wouldn't call the coach, they wouldn't call the principal, they'd call me out in the middle of my band class. Mr. Smith, we need you in the English lab. We're sending a sub down to cover for you. We have an incident. So I'll walk up there and he's cutting up, I'll walk to him and I do like this. I'll walk out, he's perfect. Teachers are trying to figure out, what is he saying? Did he threaten his life? What did he do? What did he say? And I never told them because I didn't want them to manipulate it or use it improperly. But I'm telling you what I did. I'd walk up to him, I said, hey, is this gonna help grandma? Because I got him to understand that his actions in school could set him up to be a blessing to grandmother. That if he went and got a trade, now all of a sudden he can contribute to grandmother's success in a way that none of the others that are in jail did. So that became his point of passion. That became his why. My question is, what's your why as a teacher? It's probably a who or what. The last one is Z. Z is the end, destination, destiny. What's the end game? If I was Thanos, well, if I was Thanos, we'd all be gone. But if I was a genie, that's a better one. If I was the genie, right, and I could grant any wish for your classroom, ideally, what would you want your ideal classroom to look like? What would you want to be remembered as? What kind of impact do you want to have? And I need you to consider that and write that. So for me, and it's slightly misconstrued on this, so I'll go ahead and give it to you real. My XYZ is simple. If we're talking about my gifts, it's my music. It's my ability to, it's music. It's being able to play, and my gift or my passion is my ability to engage, to educate, and to elevate the students with the music, gift, passion. My why, oh, this is controversial. My why ain't the first chair players. My why is not the all province, all state, all national students. I'm gonna be honest, most of them was gonna be good whether they had me or not. My why, oh, this is crazy, every student. Even the ones that may not appear to give me value back in the moment. The Grammy taught me that some of the kids that I thought got nothing out of my class My class made all the difference for me. I'm just glad I got to hear it before I couldn't hear it. I'm telling you today that there's so many kids that you are making an impact on that you have no idea. Only the weight of time will reveal it. Some of us, only the weight of eternity will reveal it, but it doesn't change the significance and the importance of who you are right now. What's your why? My Z is to show every child that they're loved, valued, and wanted. So if you ask me what my XYZ statement is, it's to engage, educate, and elevate through music every learner so that they know that they're loved, valued, and wanted. Now, watch this. Can you see how when they screw up the B-flat concert scale, I'm still a success? Can you see how if we aren't quite at the process that I'd like to be musically, that I can still see that I'm making a difference? And many times we've lost our encouragement because we've lost our focus. My question today is, what is your XYZ? I want to challenge you to compose your own, because if everybody has a sound, we're just putting lyrics to that sound. If anything, this is your legacy song. Intentionality. Win by 10. I talked about it earlier, the priming. I like to start my day with level of intentionality. My wife hates it. I said it this morning. I called her. I said, we got to get such and such and such done. She's like, it's 8 o'clock. I said, yeah, the day's almost over. She's like, I hate you. The day's almost over. My mom used to say it all the time. It's like 7 o'clock. Oh, the day's almost over, baby. I'm like, Mom, it's 7 o'clock, right? But now that I'm teaching, I understand, especially they're showing up with those backpacks. If I don't get out in front of them, I can't be at the same level they're at. I always have to be in front, especially if I'm Mr. Smith. So that requires me asking myself, okay, what level of intentionality do I need to use? We talk about the win by 10. What are you doing to start your day the best it can be? I've never seen anybody have to recover from a great start. Sometimes we think it's these big things, but I'm telling you, small things done well stacked on top of each other over time that makes the biggest impact. What can you do at the start of your day to put you in a better position to make every day a Wednesday? Not just for your students, but for you. It starts with you. Here's some things that I do with intentionality. Not only do I start my day off right, but I start my class off right. In the first 10 minutes, I have something I call the ARE, agenda, routines, and expectations. We start this off, when kids come in, they can see the objectives. Hidden agendas kill classrooms. I see people, they hide their lesson plans, they hide their stuff. I see some folks, they don't really know what their agenda is. I'm gonna feel it out and see how the kids sound and I'll respond to that. And there are days where I do that, but I don't make a habit of that. Listen, some people make having an agenda sound like a negative thing. I don't wanna be affiliated with somebody that has no agenda. I just wanna make sure their agenda is good. Having an agenda is not a negative thing. I don't trust people that don't have an agenda. If you wake up in the morning, what you got going on today? I don't know, we'll figure it out. That's scary to me, especially when you're being charged over lives. So in regards to our classroom, what's your daily agenda? An agenda doesn't have to be anything super special or focused. Look at that, it's just bullet points. But when the kids come in, they have a level of intentionality. They have a level of expectancy. They expect and they see what we're doing in that day. And I never have a kid walk into my class. And I'm not condemning anybody today, but I'm just saying for me personally, nobody comes to my class and asks, are we playing today? Yeah, we playing. And they never ask because they can see clearly now that there is a focus to what we're doing. Routines. I always like to say you got to rep it to rep it. You have to have repetition in order to represent it. You can't be something that you haven't put into practice. So oftentimes, I'm so glad, like I said, we don't say wavelength, because anytime people have to think, they won't. So if you can rep something enough and to the point where it becomes muscle memory, now you've freed up brain space for them to actually be engaged. Listen, I didn't understand how difficult band was. I've been teaching for a long time. And then I started teaching 4th grade beginning band. And it hit me, oh my goodness, they are making more decisions in one measure of music than most of their friends are making all day. When you think about what they have to do just to get the horn together and to hold it and to set the embouchure and we hadn't even made the right sound yet. I like to say now to my students, I say, on your mark, get set, go. On your mark, look at the markings. I'm tracking their eyes to see if they're actually reading or if they're just standing behind a music stand faking it. I give them games to see, okay, we're not going to start on the first note. We're going to start on the third note. Show me what that note is with your fingers. I need smart fingers. Oh, man. And I go right down the road. Good job, good job. Oh, other left. Okay, good job, good job. But they know there's certain routines we do every day. The way we come into the band hall, we do it the band way. I had my kids there the first day. I said, we don't do things the wrong way. And we don't do things the right way. Kids said, well, what do we do? I said, we do it the band way. Oh, what's that? Welcome. You're going to find out. First part of the band way is when we come in, personal belongings go on the shelf. After the personal belongings go on the shelf, guys, you got about 15 seconds. Go grab your instruments, grab those cases and put them underneath your chair. Nobody takes the instruments out the chair. Have a seat and we'll begin. The kids know it. Yes, I have to say it every day. Yes, I have to be an incredible craftsman of this thing I call creative redundancy. You got to say the same things every day until it takes root. All of a sudden now, it's part of who they are. It's the band way. When they can do that, all of a sudden your stress is reduced. But oftentimes when I go into classrooms, I don't see a classroom that can operate void of the teacher. I'm here with you this weekend because I can leave and they're not going to burn down the place because they know how to do it the band way. It's not because I threaten them, I empower them. Every kid wants to make their own boss moves. That's what I figured out. They really don't want to be bothered with us. So now my goal is to expedite the process. Now I can be there and I can support them. I tell them all the time, I want to be your teacher, but it's going to be so cool when I can do this. We're almost there, guys. The band way. I even have this little turtle called Tatiana. She operates like an elf on a shelf. And Tatiana comes out to remind us that things start slow, but they're going somewhere. And every day they do good in band, and I give them a small win that they can win at. Every time they do well, the next day they come in, Tatiana has moved. They get so excited. Now the first day they meet Tatiana and think I'm the weirdest guy in the world. But the next day they're like, oh, Tatiana moved. And I'm not just talking about the littles, the big kids, even the high school kids coming in. Hey, I see the turtle. Everybody knows Tatiana now. Every day she moves until one day she leaves the band hall. Do y'all know there's tears when she leaves? When she leaves, it's a symbol to the kids that they're no longer my band babies. But they have mastered the first levels of the band way. So now Tatiana can leave so that you can go faster. I said, but she'll be back for next year's group. You would think it's just the little kids that get excited about this. No, those big 17, 18-year-olds, they get so pumped up. How long do you think Tatiana, this is probably illegal, but they're like doing what, wages, over-unders and stuff. The tubas were betting on the turtle this year. But you know what? I just love that they're engaged about it. So there's so many routines that we put in place that then set up what we call our expectations. I don't have rules. One of my mentors, Dr. Harry Wong, has anybody ever heard of him? That's a real name, by the way. Okay, Harry Wong, First Days of School. I got the book when I was in college, but it looked like a jumbled mess to me because I had no experience. And I was like, oh, this book, And then I started teaching. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me get this book, right? And I started looking at it, and I started making some changes to make it work in my classroom. Fast forward. About 2 years ago, I get an email. Guy says, hey, I've been watching your work. It looks amazing. I'd love to talk to you about it. Sincerely, Harry. I'm like, no way. It was Harry Wong. So if you buy Harry Wong's latest book, there's this weird guy with a red jacket and a hat on the front cover. It was the last book he had did before he passed away. So I'm telling you, you don't even understand how impactful the small things are in making the big difference. My students, every day we come in, we have our code of cooperation. First one is follow directions, raise your hand to speak, stand your seat, be prepared, respect property of others, treat others with respect, gum, candy, food, or drinks are not allowed. The kids say it every day. Now watch this. I'm gonna get you to do it for me. When I say first one is, you shout back and follow directions. Okay? I'm from Louisiana, so I want y'all to shout. I got to feel it. First one is? Follow directions. Yeah, so watch this. Now when the kids do bad, most times when they get on our nerves, they didn't follow directions, right? So now, let's do this. Talk amongst yourselves, and when I say first one is, I want you to stop the conversation and shout back, follow directions. Talk amongst yourselves. Go. Talk amongst yourselves. Man, these kids, man, come on, man, they're still talking. Oh, you know what? I don't have to talk over these kids. First one is? Follow directions. Guys, you said it, I did. Wasn't that the nicest way of saying shut up? Right? Because here's what happens. They're not going to argue with their peers. And I got big classes, so when you got 65 kids telling you out of pocket, what you going to do, beat up all 64 of them? So all of a sudden, even the biggest one goes, okay. But then after a while, they start taking pride in the fact that they have a way, a method of doing things the right way. I'm telling you, it works. It allows them to understand who they are and what they do. Consistency, sound habits. We talked about this before. This is what I use every day to ensure that I'm being the sound adult. Because really it starts with me. I'm not trying to be perfect, I'm just trying to be purposed every day. By doing this, it helps me not just have a lesson or a classroom, but I create an experience, which is what you felt when you closed your eyes. A lesson just lasts for a week or a day or whatever, but an experience that lasts for a lifetime. I don't teach classes anymore. I have what I call the band experience. And doesn't that sound a whole lot better than class? With elementary is tough, y'all. They don't sound good. Not yet. I mean, they're doing good, but let's be honest. Nobody's paying money to hear that. So what I have to let them know is it's an experience. Those kids come running. It's time for our band experience. What's the experience? It's the band way. I'm telling you, come to my class, they outlined it. It wasn't even planned. There have been people that have come and interviewed our students, and they give them so much rich detail of what our class is about that they literally think my classroom is staged. It's not staged. I just set the stage for them to understand their role on the stage called the classroom. Seize the spectators. So many times, we have kids that are resistant, apathetic, and we sound like the Scooby-Doo dude, right? These kids, right? But let me ask you this. Do you realize that if you take a child, and we do this all the time, we try to take children to these places curricularly. If you take a child someplace against their will, you do realize that's a felony. It's called kidnapping. And too many times we're curricularly kidnapping kids when all they really want to know is, are we there yet? Where are we going? I found that if I can just give them some semblance of an answer about where we're going and how we're getting there, I don't get nearly the resistance. That's why I have the things posted in the room, because it gives credibility. It's like, okay, I know exactly what he's doing. I'll put up with him for 3 more days. I see where he's taking us. Okay, I'm gonna do this whole tone scale as a 6th grade beginner, because I see what he's doing right now. Okay, I'm gonna work on these first 3 notes, because I can see he's stacking it up. They give me a chance, because I show them. If you try to take them someplace you hadn't told them, I'm telling you, it doesn't work well. Backpack. What's the sound that's going to resonate with them? What's the sound of your classroom? I'll take you on a ride. Here we go. Number 1, being sound requires having substance. What's substance? Substance as a teacher is caring for the students, being prepared, and teaching positively. I need you to know that. If you can do those 3 things, you got them. You got them. So substance is what you need. So let me give you this, because I don't want to be that guy. Do 3 things. Well, how do I do it? I don't know, but he sounded really enthusiastic about it. I'm going to give you the breakdown of it. Substance in the classroom is having systems so clear that they can see it. Goals broken down so they can say it. Habits so strong it helps them get to work. Habits so strong it helps them get to work. Systems so clear that they can see it. Goals broken down so they can say it. Habits so strong it helps them get to work. Habits so strong it helps them get to work. Are you understanding that that's just the vision, the intentionality, and the consistency? You have to have systems in place that they can see. Without vision, the people perish. Without systems, we perish. You have to have the goals broken down. Intentionality. You can't be intentional if you don't have a goal. You have to have habits to be consistent. Motivation gets you started, but it's this next few slides that help you keep on going. My challenge to you this year is to stop questioning everything about teaching and start answering everything about your teaching with 3 questions every day. These are 3 questions I want you to ask yourself every day. Number 1, how can I care for my students? And the answer is simple. With systems so clear that they can see it, I need you to create vision. I.e., for example, the band experience It's not just about some catchy phrase. The band experience gives them a compelling future. They have something to look forward to. Most kids are apathetic because they don't have something to look forward to. And it doesn't matter that you hold all the intention in the world. If you haven't articulated or posted in such a way where they can see it, they can't catch the vision. Think about it. It took you X number of years to be who you are right now. They're 8. They're 18 at best. I got a 21-year-old at home, and I remind my wife all the time, there's a reason they don't drop insurance rates in the States until 25. She looks grown, but every so often she'll do something or say something. We're like, oh yeah, 25. I just look at my wife, 25. She knows what that number means. And the same thing is true with our students. We have to provide them those systems of guidance. Listen, I'll say this on it. I was last year a day old when I realized that the word parenting derives from one word that simply means perspective. I used to think parenting meant all this stuff. Parenting, when you break it down, parenting literally means perspective. My job as a parent, technically, is only to provide perspective. That's what we're giving them. But if that's absent in our classroom, we're missing out on the biggest opportunity we can see for our kids. Number 2, how can I be prepared? You should always ask yourself, how can I be prepared today? Am I prepared today? Okay, with goals broken down so much that they can say it. We talked about it, the posture thing. What? First you gotta what? Sit tall, let your shoulders fall, make them meet in the back, and put your feet down flat. First you have to sit what? Let your shoulders make them meet in the, put your feet down. Isn't that crazy? You didn't even know me yesterday. I was in Wichita, Kansas, and I'm presenting at a conference, and we're at a hotel similar to this, and all the way at the end of the hotel, there's a woman, I'm not gonna blow y'all's ear out, there's a woman I've never seen before. She goes, ah! She runs at me, I'm like, whoa, I'm from Louisiana, I'm about to take you down, right? She said, ah! And she runs up to me, she says, first you have to sit tall, let your shoulders fall, make them meet the back, put your feet down flat, ah! I said, man, did somebody record that? That's crazy. I was flattered, I was alarmed, but I was flattered. And I was like, wow, you don't realize what something means to somebody sometimes. Now, I've had other moments like that, maybe not that intense, but think about it. Goals broken down so much that she could say it. And if she was that excited, I can't imagine her students. They must just be all about posture, right? So I'm telling you this for this reason. What do you have broken down so much that a kid could run and tell somebody else? How can I teach positively? With habits so strong that they can get to work the band way every day. Quick question. Can your students see the point of what you're doing when you ask them to do it? Can your students see the point of doing good even when it's hard to do? If so, do they still do it even when they don't want to? Here's the key. If it's work, it's got to go in this order. Work goes to good, goes to fun. I tell the kids all the time a story about how when I was playing basketball, I had a coach that was a lot of fun, but he never made us work. And we hated him because we lost every game that year. Fast forward the next year, we had a coach we hated. He made us work. He ran us to death. We even ran practices without the basketball. Worst coach ever. Until we won. Again, and again, and again. And when we became champions, we loved him. Matter of fact, before I moved here to Florida, we all went to his funeral. He passed away, and the whole team was there. His impact went beyond basketball. But he taught us that in order for it to be fun, you had to be good. And in order to be good, I don't make the rules, you got to work. That work is not a 4-letter word. I can't tell you that simple concept presented to a kid. Now again, you may say it one day, you might have to say it 3 days in a row. But when you have these things that you can share with them, where their little band minds and choir and orchestra minds can understand and wrap around, all of a sudden now you create this vernacular, you create this language, this band, this choir, this orchestra language that then kids can run with. To teach them, you must reach them by helping them see it, say it, and get to work. See it with vision. Say it with intentionality. Get to work with consistency. There shouldn't be, we worked on Monday, okay, Tuesday is movie day. No, consistency each and every day. How do I do this? How do I care for students? With systems so clear that they can see it, create vision. Students will not care about learning until they know we care about them. So how do we show them we care? One answer: with love. Now, here's the thing about love. People get weird about it. Love just means two things for me, the way I'm speaking about it: care and consistency, which is what most kids lack now. They got parents, but the parent may not care. Parent may not be consistent. Parent may not even be there. But if you can just don't be their mom, don't be their dad, don't be their bestie, just be a sound adult. I told you Lisa wasn't perfect, but she cared, and she was consistent to the point where her impact is now still being felt. When you closed your eyes, you thought about a caring, consistent person, not a perfect person. What can you be consistent about? As teachers, we must show consistency and care in being prepared. Being prepared reduces teacher and student anxiety. But why? Real quick, why? I know it sounds basic, but talk to me real quick. Why would being prepared reduce your anxiety? I keep telling you to show up a little bit early, think about some stuff. Well, come here, give me some stuff. What? You know what to expect, thank you. What else? Thank you. You know what to expect. This is good. I'm glad we're asking this question because it seems to be a void topic. Let's see. We know what to expect. What else?
You'll know what you need to do.
You'll know what you need to do. Look, I promise you, if you don't know what that feeling feels like, go someplace you've never been before and let the GPS go out of order. Yeah. Boom. It's like routes, it's directions. And when you aren't prepared, when you haven't taken those extra steps and that extra time, you're literally going through the day uncertain of what that next step is. It's like being in the house when the lights go off. It's your house, but the journey is just, it's kind of arduous. And too many times, I've been guilty of it, we teach like that. We know where we're at, we know what we're doing, but the lights are out. But when you're prepared, it's like flipping that light switch. What routes, routines, rituals, and rhythms make up your classroom experience? I just shared with you. The band way, it starts when they meet at the door. I'm at the door. If it's older kids, I give them a little fist bump. If it's the younger kids, I literally greet them. We have a little debriefing outside because I understand they're coming from different classes and that may be the only time they see each other. So I let them socialize for like 2 hours, ask them about their day and all that kind of stuff. And then I say, hey band, they say, sir. I say, first one is, they say, follow directions. And now I'll talk about the band way, what we're gonna be doing. Hey guys, I'm like a coach getting ready to go into the game. All right, first play guys, we're gonna go in, put those personal belongings on the shelf, get those instrument cases, come back, have this music up, ready to go, break, let's go. Make sure we do it what? The band way. They all shout the band way, which sounds like the bad way. And our principals are like, what are you teaching these kids, right? And then they come in, but watch this, the first 2 minutes are so effective because those kids know the play. Football, like American football, that every coach knows that they script out the first 4 plays. Regardless of what the weather is, what the other they already know whatever comes, our first 4 plays, we've already practiced what we're gonna do. That's what what are the first 4 plays? What can these kids, like the first part of my classroom, I don't even need to be there. The kids they already know how to do it. And that gives so much confidence. And when they get confidence, now they're in a place to develop competence. And when they get more competence, guess what they get? More confidence. And that breeds more confidence and breeds more do you see the cycle? But we have to put them in a position to get that. Being prepared promotes trust. Trust is at the center of everything. If you have trust, that opens up the door to relationship. From relationship, that opens up the door to influence. From influence, that opens up the door to instruction. But too many times we try to lead with instruction. Kids don't want to know it all. If they did, they just Google it. So what are we doing? And again, this is not to admonish anybody. I promise you, man. He's like, he was mean today. Yesterday, he was nice. The time is short, and I want to make sure today that you understand you don't need another note. You don't need another piece of pedagogy. You just got to develop and foster that sense of trust in your classroom that comes from caring for the students, being prepared and teaching positively, and asking yourself, what are the methods I can do to do that? Here's what trust can look like, because I don't want to just tell you to trust. This is what it looks like. Having a predictable way of doing things from the moments the kids walk into the classroom. That's trust. They should be able to trust your methodology, your classroom, okay? The way they sit, the way they exit, the way they leave. What are your guidelines, your procedures, your systems? What is your GPS for their success? If you have not mapped out those things in a way that a kid can take them and use them, then there's still some area of development in the classroom. Doesn't mean your classroom's a failure. It just means that there's room to grow, right? So, do you have systems so clear that students can see it? And if so, what does it look like? I told you before, the ARE, but I want you to know about the CARE. That's care. Cooperative agendas, routines, and expectations. I use Post-it notes to develop trust. At the beginning of the year, I give every kid a Post-it note, and I tell them to write down what their band dream is. What is it that they want to get out of this class? And they write it down. And from there, I then create a classroom curriculum that makes sure that at some point, we make that dream come true. So that every kid feels like a win. That takes us from Post-its to purpose. Now, how cheap is that? You don't need another software. Just hand out the kids the Post-it notes. If you want to know what they want, just ask them. And they'll tell you things. I want to be able to play this many notes. I want to be able to play this song. I want to be able to ask them what song and what skill you'd like to be able to do. What the students want should determine how your classrooms are. And remember, the ARE, the R is the agenda, the routines, and the expectations. If you have those three things, it transforms your classroom. This is what my agenda looks like. It's a Canva that I created, and I posted on a screen similar to this. And it just outlines what we're doing for the week in each class. They surprised me for homecoming. All my students dressed up like me. It was quite the surprise. I put pictures of the students. They like seeing themselves, and it makes them look at the agenda. It's a trick, it's a setup. We do this for each grade level. These are simple things, but oftentimes when I go into classrooms, I don't even know what the teachers are doing. I challenge you, make it so easy that an administrator could see it. It doesn't have to be high tech. Next are the routines. These are the routines I haven't posted in my classroom. Lastly, expectations. We went over that. Follow directions, raise your hand, speak, stay in your seat, be prepared, respect property, village, truths, respect, come candy, food, or drinks are not allowed. I know it so much, I went in for surgery. When I came out of the anesthesia, I started going, first one is follow directions. My wife started laughing. The doctor was like, what is he doing? She's like, he's such a dork, he's starting class. Be prepared. How do we be prepared? With goals broken down so much that they can what?
Say it.
They got to be able to say it. Being prepared starts with teachers who have the 5 to thrive. What's the 5 to thrive? Number one, you got to have the information, which everybody in this room has. You got the know-how. You wouldn't have had the degree if you didn't. But most of us stop at the know-how. You also have to have the awareness. Nobody likes a know-it-all. Can you connect it to what they care about? You got to be able to effectively communicate. Number three, it doesn't mean going on a tirade. I would never talk to my students the way I'm talking with you. I'd break it down to 40 seconds or less, 40 characters or less, make it Snapchatable, Instagrammable, TikTokable, digestible, fun size. Teachers must be able to ask themselves 4 things. Do I know how to communicate concepts I should be teaching? Do I have multiple strategies to teach the concepts? I couldn't get their embouchure. Okay, corners in, flat chin. It's still not working. Think of a DQ milkshake. It's still not working. Think of a sour milkshake with pickle juice and sour milk. Got it. Number 3, do they have a way to determine whether or not the concepts have been learned or retained? Peer assessment. Breaking down, going down individually. Videoing. Are we exploring experience music making meaningfully? If I were a kid in your class, I can definitely say I am learning, okay? If you're doing these things, I can definitely say that. This is what it looks like for me. This is the I am in instructional academic matrix. It focuses on 4 core things every month. Low tech, y'all. I just got my printer, you can enlarge the font, and I put down the 4 things based off of the post-it notes the kids gave and my experience. And I wrote it down and I put it on the wall so the kids can see. August, I can see what my 7th grade, 8th graders are doing. September, I can see what my 5th graders are doing. So easy the kids can identify. They know exactly, as a kid, I know exactly who I am supposed to be. Teach positively. How do you do that? Consistency helps you level up with bite-sized teaching tools. This is how you need to teach. If you had a king-size bar, you'd eat it and feel guilty. If you had bite-size, you'd eat the whole bag. Why would you eat the whole bag? Oh, it's just small. It's just one more. That's how we want the learning to be. So how do I make it bite-sized? How do I make it fun-sized? By making maps, management action plans, that I can habit stack. Level 1, this is what I teach at the basic level. This works with 4th graders, and it works with 6th graders, and it works with 9th graders, and it works with 12th graders. And visually, it gives me something to focus on, reticular activation system. It lets me see that blue card. I know exactly what to look for. Holding still, posture, making sure they're watching, looking at me. You can see it toe tapping, tapping like a ninja, not buffalo feet, right? Breathing in, how, do. Band face, embouchure, corners in, flat chin, flutes, tubas, pout, and poop. Putting it all together. Level 2, setting up the instrument. Me, we, you. Mouthpiece tone production. I call them baby horns. Flute head joint. Mouthpiece barrel, clarinet, mouthpiece neck, saxophone, mouthpiece brass. Get your baby horns out. All right, big horns. We tune the baby horns. A for flute, F sharp for clarinet, you know the deal. All those different things. Hand position. We want to use hamburger hands. Why? Anybody that wins uses hamburger hands. Tom Brady, my man, used hamburger hands. Steph Curry, hamburger hands. I'm thirsty, drinking some water. Hamburger hands. Piano, sax, flute, clarinet, hamburger hands, trombone. Uh-oh. Anyway, so horn carriage is all about angles. Showing them the balance, how to do that basic theory. I teach them on a need-to-know basis. I don't do the theory worksheets. We don't take out pencils. Look, this is concert F. Let's focus on that. And then we do the repetition of concert F until it takes root. And then we move on to the next note. Level 3, it just goes on. Smart fingers, smooth sounds, sing the sound. Daily rhythm, take 5. What's take 5? Say the letter names first, then say the letter names and move fingers. Number 3 is count 'em. Number 4, sizzle pop. Number 5, play. So easy a kid can do it. You come to my classroom, they know how to sight read. Then finally, once we get through all that, now they're at a place where they can now do the core 4. But many times we try to start with this, but they don't have the fundamentals to get to that. What I gave you was a method that leads to the method book. Because if you start on page 1, you probably lose. Because there's some things that the method book can't teach that we have to fill in. All that to say this is what it looks like when it's done well. Small things, done well, stacked on top of each other. But then the growth becomes exponential. But most people never get past the milestone 1. Will you trust the process? Small things done well, stacked on top of each other over time. What maps will you use? What maps will you create? Remember, last thing, above all, in order to keep on going, you must have a self-map. Because at the end of the day, they joined for band, but they'll stay for you. So will you be the sound to change their world? You will if you show in your teaching that you care and you're consistent. Because that together creates this thing called love. And not to be cliche, but cliche is there for a reason. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. So thank you for the love that you share in your classroom. Thank you. Thank you, my community guys, on all the platforms. Got the free material here this morning. All the things. There we go. You can find out later. Thank you so much. Thank you.
What a fantastic way to finish up our sessions for SMC this year. Can we give it up for Mickey Smith Jr.? That's the nice thing about a 3.5-hour drive is I have a lot to think about after this, so that's awesome. I believe next to close off